Hello, this is my video for the Module 2 Milestone 1. I'm going to talk about the supply and demand curve and give a couple examples of how these changes in the market will shift these curves and what that'll do to the price and the quantity of a certain good. So as you can see, I've already set up my graph here, and we're dealing with coffee, and that's the market we're looking at here. I have my supply curve, and here is my demand curve. So where these two meet, this is right here. If you come over, if you come over here, this right here is going to be our the price of coffee right now. So that was right here. And then down here is going to be the quantity of coffee sold in the market at this time. So we're going to go through a couple scenarios that will affect the market and change the demand or the supply curve. So right now we're going to talk about the demand, and I'm going to give you a couple scenarios that are going to decrease the demand in the market. So the first scenario is say that a medical report comes out saying that they have linked coffee to cancer, and they're saying that drinking coffee will cause cancer. Obviously, this is going to decrease the demand of coffee because people will stop drinking as much of it. Second, the price of tea decreases. So in this market, the price of tea decreases, and because tea and coffee are substitutes, people are going to stop drinking as much coffee and switch over to drinking tea because it's cheaper. So this is also going to decrease the demand of coffee. And the third and final scenario would be, say that a recession hits the country, and this is going to decrease the income for a lot of households. And because coffee is a normal good, the decrease in income is going to lead to a decrease in the demand. People are going to stop buying as much coffee because it's not a necessity. So when we have a decrease in demand, our demand curve here is going to go to the left. So it's going to come over here. Okay, and this is going to be our D2, our demand 2, as it shifted. So now you can see that the point where they intersect is no longer here, but now the new demand curve intersects the supply curve right here. Let me change that color so you can see. Okay, so now if you come over to our y-axis where our price of coffee is, you're going to see that it's right about here. So you can see that when the demand decreases, the price of coffee also must decrease. And the quantity of coffee also, as you can see, decreases from the original value. So now we're going to talk about supply. And I'm going to give you 3 scenarios in which supply would increase. So let's say that Starbucks was going to expand, and they were going to have more stores, and they wanted to double the amount of stores they had nationwide. Because there are the number of sellers increased, there's going to be more supply because the amount of coffee supply would go up because they have double the amount of stores. Likewise, say there was another company, say Coca-Cola, that company decided we don't want to just do Coke anymore. We're going to get into the coffee business, and now they're going to start selling coffee. Now, this is also going to, because again, it's going to increase the number of sellers, is also going to increase the supply of coffee in the market. And lastly, let's say there's a technological advance in the coffee industry that makes harvesting and processing coffee beans more efficient. It's going to make it cheaper and quicker. And so since technology increased, this is also going to make it easier to supply coffee. The supply is going to go up of coffee. So in these three scenarios, we have the supply curve increasing. And so I'm going to show you that supply would come over here because it's increasing. So we can call this S2. And so now our equilibrium point where S2 and D1 intersect is right here. So if we come down to our x-axis, it's right here, and we see that the quantity of coffee has increased. And if we go over to our y-axis, we will see that the price of coffee has decreased. So that's what happens when you have an increase in supply. Now, what if both of these things happen simultaneously? So we have our supply so our supply increased, and now let's say that our demand, as I said before, our demand decreased. So our demand curve is going to come down here. It's going to come here. So our new equilibrium point, where these two intersect, let me label that for you. So here's our D2. So our equilibrium point is going to be where S2 and D2 intersect. It's going to be right here. So now you can see that price of coffee again decreased, and we can see that the quantity of coffee increased. So as you can see, when supply increases, demand decreases, price of coffee is going to decrease, and the quantity of coffee is going to increase. But the quantity will not always increase, because say that instead of the demand here, the demand shifts all the way, there's a huge drop in demand, and shifts all the way down here. Okay, now they intersect here, and the price is still going to decrease, but now quantity decreased. So when the supply increases and the demand decreases, you can see that this price will always go down, but you can't be so sure about the quantity because it depends on how big of a drop in demand there is. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.